Welcome everyone to the May WSA Learning Session, Employee Experience Trends in Manufacturing. Just a few housekeeping details before we get started. One, all participants are placed on mute when the presentation starts. Number two, if you have questions for Randy, just put them in the chat and we'll address those at the very end. And as well, we are recording this session as you probably already noticed. And we will send out the video to all of you within 48 hours of the session today. So now it's my pleasure. I get to introduce Randy Stearns, who is an executive consultant at WSA. Randy has many years of experience in strategic workforce planning and helping organizations achieve excellence through their people. Most recently, Randy has specialized his focus in the manufacturing and industrial industries. So he's going to be able to share some of the latest trends and data that he's seeing with his clients. So with that, Randy, take it away.
Thanks, Chris. I'm going to share my screen here and we'll roll here with the PowerPoint. All right, welcome everyone to the May session of the Workforce Sciences monthly learning session. My name is Randy Stearns. As mentioned, I'm an executive consultant with Workforce Sciences. I'm going to start off with just talking about some of the hot topics that we're seeing in the industry. These are a few things that I hear my clients talking about on a regular basis. Safety, anything artificial intelligence is hot right now. In this specific industry, the talent shortage of things that are going on in the industry, and it's probably going to get worse. There's some spaces like the chip industry that there's been a lot of money being poured into building new plants in Texas and Arizona, Ohio, etc. So expect to see some bigger challenges in the years ahead. DEI is another topic that popped up a couple of years ago, becoming a bigger topic. Wellness has kind of changed a little bit about what they're looking for. It's kind of a whole life wellness, thinking more about financial wellness, wellness outside of work, things like that, and then unions. For this particular session, I've picked a couple of these topics to focus in on for this session for the next 30 minutes or so, just to talk about a few of the things that I'm hearing and answer some of the common questions that we get asked about this. So we're going to start off with the recruiting talent and then look at some of the things that are retention and some stuff that we have from our benchmarking database around union results. So the first one here, where do we find the talent? Where some of the challenges that or some strategies to overcome some of the challenges. Looking for new American programs. These would be like folks that have come from, say, the Ukraine or other parts of the world that are new to our country that are looking for work. And so organizations are partnering with their local job centers and whatnot to provide for these new Americans. But that's been a great talent pool. Partnership with local education, whether this is your community college or your high schools. These programs have gone over very well. This is a long-term commitment. It takes a lot to get these rolling, but a lot, pretty big payoff, not only from the community, but also for the employers. One of the things we're seeing a lot more of too is upskilling the current workforce. This can take the form of anything from more on-the-job types of skills to even general language skills. A lot of organizations, I know one that I've worked with has even gone to the point of a Hispanic community where they're Spanish speaking, having parts of their manufacturing plant dedicated that are all Spanish speaking. And so this is another way to draw in a different type of workforce than maybe what they had before. Providing language skills to those employees are also benefiting the communities. Alumni programs, looking at folks that maybe recently retired, and how do we get them back? We know they know the work, and so that's kind of re-recruiting them as another opportunity. Over on the right-hand side, you can see here are some of the things I've heard about as far as what organizations are doing in those alumni programs, or things to incentivize people to maybe hold off that retirement for a few more years. We know that the workforce within the manufacturing and industrial organizations is an aging group, A lot of them are about half the employees are over the age of 45. And so offering things like flexible work scheduling, other financial incentives, paid time off, this works really well. Obviously not with the unions, but this might be something you take a look at. Uh, Nothing like food incentives as well. Keep it simple. Cookies go a long way to bringing folks in. Even food trucks, things along those lines can work well. And of course, creating an engaging work environment. I had one industrial organization talk to me about how important engagement is to their program. They talked about, a lot of what we do is we put things into brown boxes and we ship them off to our partners and our customers. And, there's different plants or different types of work opportunities all over the place across the street from our business that they do the same types of things of putting things into brown boxes. And so how do we create an engaging work environment that is a competitive advantage for us? Okay, I'm going to move into answering some questions that we frequently get. This first one is, what's the impact of engagement on turnover? This is actually from client data. Basically, what we've done is we've looked at their plants. We rank their plants from high to low on engagement. You can see on the left-hand side, that is what we would refer to as the most engaged or the high engaged group. And we're looking at the turnover percentage for that particular group. 11% for that group. On the right-hand side, we see those that are low engagement or in the bottom quartile of that plant ranking. So bottom line is you can see that engagement does have a big impact on people leaving the organization. All right. Another thing that we oftentimes see is exit surveys as another way to help us better understand and study people leaving the organization. A lot of things that we're seeing here on the exit survey side is doing a survey, but basically somebody turns in their notice that they're going to be leaving the organization, and we try to get them a survey before their last day of employment. Those factors listed there as far as topics, what we're measuring in those. There's two kinds of programs that we're seeing. One of the programs is, let's try to measure those things that we're seeing in our engagement programs, our kind of annual census, if you will. And let's try to get a read from those people that are going to be leaving the organization, see how their results might be different. There's another strategy that some are using, and that is to minimize the exit survey. Let's only go for a couple of the things that we can't get other places. And that would be like factors for leaving and things that look like the venting opportunities in the comment box. Are there any sort of legal risks that we need to be aware of? And those other topics in there, the engagement drivers, manager effectiveness, the company role, and those types of things, they might take another look at it in a different area, such as their annual survey. On the right-hand side, one of the things that we've been doing a lot for clients is what we refer to as a leavers analysis. Basically, what we're doing is we're looking at those individuals that have left the organization and going back to the last employee survey. How did they respond to that employee survey? What do their responses look like compared to the leavers versus the stayers? That gives us a better idea of what's actually driving the leaving of the organization. So instead of using a proxy like looking for a job with another company as exiting or leaving the organization, we can actually use the real data point of who left and who didn't to contrast those. So one of the questions we get about doing a leavers analysis is, well, how long do we have to wait in order to get and be able to get the data to run the leavers analysis? So this is a quick look at some client data that we have to kind of give you a sense. I would encourage you to look at your own organization about how many people are leaving the organization, but this is from a study that we looked at. They had people, they gave us data basically from the last 15 months post the survey. And we went back and looked at how many of the people that took the survey left within 3 months of taking the survey, 4 to 6 months of taking the survey, 7 to 9 months. So you can see that this might vary quite a bit depending upon, the type of turnover that you have in your organization. Looking at the same type of analysis, we just kind of expanded on it. How do the results of the leavers compare to the stayers? We took a look at this item that is frequently used on most employee surveys that we're doing. I rarely think about looking for a new job with another company and looking at that question and looking at how do the stayers results differ from the leavers results. And then those that left, how does that vary across how long after they took the survey did they leave? So you can see that the stayers and the leavers, a couple of things that really stand out. The blue 64, that's the percent favorable, and the 43% on the leavers, quite a big difference there. And then also looking at the unfavorable side of the scale, it's about double. In the less than 3 months, you can see that on the unfavorable side, how much that kind of goes down as far as percentages the farther you get away. One of the reasons we do this is to try to look at how predictive is that question of really thinking about looking for a new job with another company. How well does it anticipate people that will actually leave? So you can kind of give a sense of how good that is. One of the next questions that we ask is, okay, well, what are the items when we actually have a real turnover from an organization? What does this look like? What are the top drivers that are driving that? Not looking at the rarely thinking about a new job with another company, but actual people departing. One of the callouts I have here is we look at the top 10 things that are driving that leaving the organization, if you will. Number one, as you would expect, we have that retention question. Basically, what this is telling us, out of all the questions we asked in the survey, this one is doing the best job of indicating whether somebody's going to leave. Not a big surprise. We would expect that. I've also asterisked 3 other items there. Those are the commonly asked, what I would call employee engagement questions. So one of the things that this is telling me is when we're thinking about why do people leave organizations, well, it's because of engagement or lack thereof. And so just your standard engagement index is going to do a very good job of identifying why people might be leaving the organization. There's a couple of other items in here. This is specific to the industry, but liking the kind of work that they do is not something that we see across the board. That's kind of a job satisfaction, but that is in this industry something that we see a little bit more of, as well as the career opportunities, that kind of growth. So the other items tend to be much more traditional in what we see across all industries. Okay, going to change gears on you a little bit here, talk about some union survey results. One of the questions we oftentimes see or get asked are, how different are those scores from union employees? I provided an example here of engagement and manager effectiveness as 2 indicators that we frequently use on surveys. I'm showing in the blue the union score, and then on the orange the North American overall average. These are percent favorable scores. But overall, when we look at the top 33 items, we call it our core 33. Those are the most commonly asked questions on our surveys. On average, there's about an 11-point difference between the union scores and the North American average. So typically that's a good estimate that you can use kind of across the board. All right, another question that frequently gets asked is when we think about what's driving engagement for union employees, what does that look like? And this is actually using WSA's data kind of across lots of organizations, hundreds of organizations. These are the top items showing up in this particular analysis. For the most part, these items look a lot like what we see across most industries. There are a couple of things that stand out to me here. One is the item number 2, compensation question, and then also number 7. This type of analysis is hinting at that there's some different things that happen in this particular industry. A third one is the type of question number 5 is. We typically refer to this one as a growth and development type of question, but this one's a little bit different. It isn't always that as far as being able to advance my skills or things like that, but it's more about, hey, I've got talents and skills. How do I put those to good use and do my job? But that's what frequently that's more what we're seeing within the industrial organizations. All right, I'm going to finish up with a few thoughts and thoughts around employee relations here. Looking at union vulnerability or unions in general, One of the things that a lot of organizations are coming to us and asking us about is, hey, can you help us measure the topics that are most important for these types of work areas? And these are 9 different areas that we frequently look to measure. These 9 areas come out of research that goes back years, but there's different ways of doing it. There's different questions you can have around these questions or around these topics that we might take a look at for your particular organization. How do we report this? It's a little bit different than we report some other types of indicators that might be on your survey. And one of the things that we're doing is we're looking at where are the red flags, if you will. In general, we're interested in the unfavorable side of the reporting scale. And so this, if we kind of take you around and share with you what are we sharing here, this would be a typical type of report card that you might see from WSA around union vulnerability. On the left-hand side, the percentage of the plants that you have that are showing up as highly vulnerable, all the way down to the percentage of your plants that are in the low vulnerability. And then maybe highlighting some of those plants where you're seeing some of the highest union vulnerability. And then where does this play out as far as across maybe regions, different plants that you have in different regions. How many plants do you have in each of those regions that are in the red zone, if you will, meaning that you're highly vulnerable, or the orange zone where you have a little bit lower vulnerability, but still high. Okay, I'd like to take some questions from you. I'd like to hear a little bit about what your challenges are for your organization, what topics you'd like to learn from WSA in the future for future sessions that we're going to have. If you'd like to learn more about WSA and the work that we're doing, please check us out on workforcesciences.com. And if you'd like to join us next month for the June session, please do so. It's going to be on June 20th at 1 p.m. Central, so put that on your calendar. All right. Any questions from the group?
Hey, Randy, there is one question in the chat that I want to direct your attention to. Are you seeing any evidence that manufacturing employees are actually staying longer or less attrition due to economic concerns or other factors?
I don't know that we have that specific data. I mean, there's been some roadblocks that we've had, bumps in the road with COVID about people staying longer, that where some of the plants had to close down. The data that we're seeing are, for the most part, the plants have gotten back up to full capacity where they're trying. The challenge is being that filling the seats, that there's a lot more turnover, especially in the new employees. What I would suggest that we're seeing is kind of a generational component about the younger generations being less interested in joining an industrial or manufacturing type of organization. So I don't know that we've got insights that people are necessarily staying longer than they would before, but we know that organizations are trying to get people to stay longer.
Thanks. And one other quick question. So about unionization, why do you think union scores are so much lower than non-union?
Yeah, great question. There's a couple of things that come up there. The first one is around unions. They have something that they're trying to communicate. They're trying to bargain with the organization and showcase, hey, we want more. And the points here around the employee relations and what it's measuring around the pay, the benefits, those are two of the topics that people are always looking to get more of. And so by telling the organization that it's not good enough, the hope is that they will gain more from the pay and the benefits in future negotiations.
So Randy, you mentioned that, COVID obviously had a big impact on manufacturing plants. But there was also kind of a second crisis that we've endured over the past, 3 to 4 years, and that is really the social justice movement. Are you seeing anything in manufacturing that is counterintuitive to that movement, or did you see manufacturing kind of fall in line?
I think one of the things that we tend to see in these industries are that they've invested in the DEI types of things and being socially accountable, whether it's in the greener space. Let's kind of break it up into two parts. The first one being more of the diversity, equity, inclusion components. That one, we're definitely seeing, in order to try to reach a broader audience to fill those seats, trying to become a organization that puts an emphasis on it, is known for those. I think that's true of most organizations, not just this industry. But I would suggest that there's been a little bit of backlash, not just in this industry, but in some others as well, of when we put forth that, call it promoting others because of whatever topic area you want to call out, because they're not a white male or whatever the case. The white males have had a tendency to say, hey, if this is the type of organization that you're going to be, maybe this isn't the place for me. So it's definitely had some impact on that space. When it comes to becoming more green, I think every organization, regardless of industry, is trying. I think that the manufacturing industry has certainly got more to benefit from this, as far as incentives of being a good community citizen, if you will. And so therefore, I think that they are running more programs than most as far as how do we become a cleaner energy type of organization, whether it's recycling or whatever. They have a lot to gain from that as far as profitability as well.
And then you mentioned in the beginning about AI, artificial intelligence, and obviously in most manufacturing organizations there is repetitiveness, and in most cases robots are already a part of the factory floor. As you think about how AI becomes more prevalent just across the globe, what are your kind of thoughts or predictions about how AI is going to impact manufacturing on a grander scale?
Yeah, well, I think the opportunities with AI, as with in most industries, it's implementing AI in a way to do more of the jobs that people don't like doing, those highly repetitive jobs, as a good call out. That by doing that, it's creating new jobs. And we need people to operate the machines to do that. It creates more productivity, less of error or waste or costs as far as creating that product. But it's going to be more about changing the skills that are needed. And that's where it really comes into, working with the community colleges and the high schools to be skilled up in these areas. The manufacturing of the future, if you will, is going to be a lot more about how do we operate those machines that is leveraging the AI, more so than using your hands than it has been in the past.
And then if you were sitting across from a CEO of a manufacturing organization, what would you say are the mission critical one or two or three points that you would want to get across to that CEO?
Yeah. One of the things that we find in manufacturing, this isn't different than most, but it tends to come out more, is the sense of pride. People really want to work for an organization that they can be proud of, and it shows up in manufacturing, and the pride can show up in different ways. A lot of times a manufacturing plant or a manufacturing organization will be the largest employer in a smaller community. That's fairly common. And so everybody in the community knows who that employer is. And, when you go out with your friends and family to be able to be proud of the brand, wear the brand proudly, talk to your family and friends about, what's going on, because we all know who works there. It's a lot of people in the community. And so that pride thing goes a long way. And I think focusing on that brand image in the community can really create a lot of benefits. One of the strategies around that is talking about how the organization is winning. And there's a lot of different ways that we can do that. Everybody likes to play for that winning team, and talking about those wins, whether it's winning on becoming a greener organization, or what we were able to provide our community, or just the new opportunities we have with new customers or new products. that we might be putting out there for our customers to utilize.
Another question in the chat, Randy. A lot of the trades folks I know are reluctant to use computers regularly, part of why they go into trades. Any thoughts on how to shift this mindset, or is it even possible?
Yeah, well, I think that, next generation, they're growing up with the computers. The kids these days, I know, when I was in high school, I didn't have my own laptop. I didn't have my own cell phone and things along those lines. And so it's changed. It's different. There's a different type of expectation, as far as filling out timesheets or whatever in a manufacturing plant versus, we had to punch cards. There's likely going to be advancements as far as when you scan in to the building and things like that, cards that you use in monitoring. So I think the very nature of what's happening in our world is changing, and I think that that's one of the challenges as far as the use of computers in manufacturing. The older generation, call it the 45 plus, if you will, is maybe a little less comfortable using the technology than the younger employees are more comfortable. So I think that's where our biggest challenges are, at least that we're seeing in the manufacturing space.
Randy, are there any other trends that you're seeing from employees that have longer tenure, been with the organization for a really long time versus the younger workforce that's entering today?
Yeah, some of those trends might be things that look like what they might be looking for as far as growth opportunities. Some of the folks that are new into the organization may be looking for more types of opportunities, if you will, whether that's growing. Maybe they want to be from a entry-level individual contributor, maybe to an operator of a specific machine, or overseeing a team that works on a machine, like a supervisor type of role. That's certainly, the younger generation is looking for those types more so than folks that have been in the industry for a while. A lot of times they're just looking for, how do I leverage my specific skill set that I have already, instead of necessarily creating or developing new skills, if you will. So that'd be one of the big things that we're seeing as far as growth and development.
One of the slides that you had showed engagement and manager effectiveness. And out of our WSA data, we know that manager effectiveness is really critical, that relationship between myself and the person I directly report to. So if you are someone in a manufacturing environment on the floor that has a team of 15 people, what have you seen work really well in terms of building that relationship with my team and really focusing in on creating a more engaged kind of workforce or team?
Yeah, so things that effective managers do, the first one is building trust with their rapport with their team. And a trusted leader, there are three typical things that we're looking for that we know from the research that stand out on an effective leader. The first one is, do you care about me? Do you know my name? Do you know anything about me beyond just what I do as far as my job, my family, maybe other things like my birthday or other celebrations that I might be interested in outside of work. Second one is leaders that kind of are able to leverage the values of the organization and lead by living those values. So when we're talking about what are we recognizing for things that mean something to the organization, whether it's an objective that we're trying to hit, or living the values. How do we live the values? Maybe some behavior that is representing of a value. For example, maybe it's assisting a customer or helping another teammate, those types of things. The third component would be showing that you are a capable leader. And oftentimes one of the best ways to be able to do that is to communicate three key things to the employees on your team, which is where are we going as an organization? what's our plan to get there? And then, how does our team help the organization get there? And specifically, what is your role as an employee to help us achieve that particular goal? Those would be kind of 3 areas around trust that I would recommend thinking about.
Great. Well, Randy, thank you for the past 30 minutes and giving us a glimpse into what you're seeing with manufacturing, just overall trends, but as well, thanks for sharing the data. This was really interesting.
You know?
Yeah, Randy, you rocked it. And I just want to real quickly say that please join us again on June 20th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Our very own Lisa Wager will be presenting caregiver experience trends in the healthcare industry. So thanks again, and Randy, good job.
Thanks.